Hey there, I'm going to be going over how to use Autocrat. It's a form extension and it's pretty awesome. If you ever used Mail Merge back in the day, it's very similar to that, but I think a lot better. And it's a Chrome extension for Google Sheets, so that's kind of your starting place. So if you're getting it for the first time, you can go to extensions here, and then you can go to add-ons and go to get add-ons, and then you can search for it in the Chrome store. It's very popular. It's probably the first one that pops up, or you can search for it, but it's used by a lot of people. So just click that and install that first in your Google Sheets, and that'll get you started. So as far as using it, I thought I would show you a couple of examples of how I use it, and that might kind of give you a little background on how to build one for yourself. So, and I actually do use this a lot. So the first one that I use it for is for the bus garage and school bus requests. So anytime somebody makes a bus request, they fill out a form, and then I manage the form, but then anytime someone submits one, it automatically sends a document to the bus garage, and that's what they use to do all their scheduling and stuff. So I just created this sheet, and it's a Google Doc, and there's just tables on it just to kind of organize it for the bus garage. This is what they said they wanted. So if you notice, here's the title, school or organization, and then I've got some text here, and notice that they've got these tags on the side, okay? That means that that's a mail merge field. So when Autocrat runs, it looks for these tags that you fill in, and it's going to put information directly that was provided in the form, then in the Google Sheet, directly into this Google Doc, and it goes automatically to whomever I tell it to go to, which I send it to the bus garage. So just a couple of things while we're looking here. If you notice this request made by, and here's the first name and here is a last name. So just kind of a little particular thing. Autocrat does exactly what you say to do. All right. So if you just put first name and then last name and no space in the middle, it's not going to put a space in there either. So just kind of a little thing like that you kind of pick up the more that you use it. So you do have to manually make sure that there is a space in between if you're putting two merged fields right beside each other. So just kind of think about that. And that's one way that I use it. And again, this is a Google Doc, and I send it directly to them. Now, we'll see in Autocrat, you'll have a choice between making it a Google Doc or making it a PDF. They actually choose to make it a Google Doc because it's editable once I send it to them. So once they get it, they might want to make their own notes to the bus drivers or different things like that. So I make it an editable Google Doc. If I wanted it to be a PDF, which I use for most other things, I choose a PDF just because it's more universal and anybody can open it, but it's not easily editable. So just kind of keep that in mind. I do leave this one a Google Doc because that's what they requested. So another way that I use it is on the Otis Parent Guide. So this is a Google slide. So Autocrat will kind of dump into a Google Doc or a Google slide, which is very handy. Let me just zoom this up a little bit. So for this one, I just created a little instruction sheet for parents logging into Otis for the first time because they do need their students' unique code that's in Otis. So I needed a quick way because I had all these codes in a spreadsheet with the student's name and maybe if for the elementaries, for their classroom teacher, or for the high school, I had it by their huddle teacher. So I created this little guide that I sent home to all the parents. And then if you notice here, I've got a section for the unique student code. I have it dumping in the student's first name and last name, and there's the space that I was talking about. Here's where it's going to put in the unique code. So really this one only has those, but then at the very bottom, more for myself, I put teacher down here at the bottom because, for example, at the high school, I would do the entire letters of the alphabet at once by teacher. So I would do like all the G teachers. And so just when I printed them out or separated them, I needed to know which teacher it went to. It was also handy at the elementaries too, because then they could kind of see what teacher. But anyway, down here at the bottom is a little tag for the teacher. Again, more for my use than for the recipient's use. But those are just two ways that I use Autocrat. So kind of think about it. Anytime you have a spreadsheet full of data that you would like kind of in a neater, more appealing looking way, or like spreadsheets kind of make sense to me, but other people would prefer to see it in a Google Doc. It's a little more lined up. So you can do that pretty easily with Autocrat. And just to show you, like here is the bus request sheet that I get. You know, it's got all the requests made on it. And let me see if I can. And if I scroll over, here's all that information. And again, you know, that just dumps into one single sheet that they use at the bus garage. Something that's important to know, if you notice these. So once you run Autocrat, you can set up different triggers, and we'll go over those in just a minute. But it creates these fields automatically. So if you start seeing your sheet kind of jumping a little bit or new columns being activated, it's supposed to do that, and Autocrat does that automatically. You don't have to do anything for that. So if you see like these merged docs and merged doc URL, that's just Autocrat doing its job. But it also gives you a really good kind of paper trail to figure out, because if someone says, well, I didn't get, you know, the bus request for so-and-so, I can come back in here and actually, sometimes it might give me an error, but most of the time I can say, well, here it is, and I'll either just send them a copy of it or whatever. So that's kind of what it looks like on the back side when you're using Autocrat. And then for my parent guide, here is what I used for it. So in Otis, I was able to download a spreadsheet file of all the students by teacher and all their unique codes. So I had, again, all this data that I needed in a neat little pack to give to the parents. So here are the student names. I got the student emails, honestly, just because it came with the download. I didn't really need it for what I was using just then. Here's their unique code. And again, I was talking about the teacher just so that I could kind of split them up to hand them out. Okay, so, and then here is the Autocrat auto-generated field that it did on its own. Okay, so that's kind of, again, a couple different ways how I use it currently. And now I'm going to show you how to kind of build one and to use it from scratch. So I'm going to show you just, let's do like PD tech certificate. So you complete an hour of PD with me and you get a certificate, and I turn it into the board office. So I'm going to just create a certificate automatically based on your completion of a PD hour. So I have this spreadsheet of, you know, teachers, what school they attend, their email, the date of the training, and what session it was, and whether they have completed it or not. So I just have this simple spreadsheet, but with this kind of information. So with this, I can create everybody in kind of one little click, all of their certificates, and it will also email it, and I don't have to do any of that. Okay. So what I like to do first is either have my template made or have a very good idea of what I want, okay, before you start with Autocrat. So for this one, I'm going with a Google slide, just because anytime I use graphics, I prefer Google Slides. So I've got my my template here for my certificate, okay? So what I want are this to automatically add in the name here of the participant, and I like to put the school that they represent here, and then for attending, and then I want the session here, and then I want a date field there, okay? And so if you remember back to the spreadsheet, all of that information is in the spreadsheet. I just need it to dump automatically in here, okay? So what I can do is I can insert a text box. And I'm going to put one here for the teacher name. And then it has to match exactly. So I have first name and last name for my fields. So it has to match exactly. So I'm going to put in the field tags like that. And I'm going to type in first name and end tag. And then I'm going to hit the space bar. Remember, it does exactly what you tell it to do. So I'm going to put last name and then the field tag. Then you need to do all of the formatting just like you normally would. Okay, so I'm going to center that. I'm going to make it kind of maybe a pretty font. I'm going to make it white. So do all of your formatting. Kind of make that big so it, is real pretty and takes up the line. So there's, I don't know if it didn't make it white. I think it will make it white in a little bit. Okay, so and then I want the school name under here. So again, I'm going to add a text box for under there. I'm going to put in the tag symbols. Okay, I named this one school. So I'm just going to put in school. And then you have to end tag it. I don't need any spaces on this one because it's all just in there. I'm going to center it. Okay. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this. And pull it down because I want one for, I think I called it session. Let's look to make sure. Yep, I called it session. It's going to read those column headings as the tag, and then it's going to just fill in the data from below. And then I need one for date down here. I'm just going to resize that one a little bit and kind of center it myself and then type in date. Okay, I think that's probably what I called that one. Yeah, date session. Okay. All right, so we really quickly there just set up our template. And like I said, you can kind of do this after you've started Autocrat, but I have found I prefer to at least have the template made and an idea of what I want and then go in and put the fields in. So just kind of to get you started. Also, make sure that you give your template a name. And I would put the word template in there because once Autocrat starts creating your individual files, then you're going to have a lot of files named the same thing. But we'll go over that in a minute. So I would name this like PD Cert Template. Okay. And then because I have to attach it in Autocrat. So I think this is ready to go. I've got my name kind of already in there. And the background is set. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. I'm going to go to extensions and I'm going to open up Autocrat by clicking launch. And then it should open up. It's actually pretty easy once you get in here. It's going to take you through a series of questions. It's going to double check your merge tags to make sure that they match up with your spreadsheet. So that's really helpful because a lot of times that can catch a lot of errors on the front side, and then when you think it's running, you don't have to worry about it. I'm hoping it loads. Okay, so none yet, so we're going to start a new job, and the job name, so I'm going to call this PD Cert, and then go to next. Okay, so here is where you choose the template. So we're going to choose it from Drive. And it should be, like if you're just now, like I was just creating it, it should pop right up and be in the beginning one. So here's my PD Cert template, and I'm just going to hit select. Okay, and if you notice that popped up for just a second, it said fetching tags from the template. So Autocrat is already ready. It knows that we've got first name, last name, email, and so forth. So it's kind of already getting ready for it. And just to let you know, here are recently used templates. So if you start using this a lot, here are some, others that I have used it for below. So that might be helpful for you in the future. And then I'm going to click next. Okay, so here is where it's trying to match your tags from your template to the tags in your spreadsheet. So it's saying we have 5 unmapped tags. So let's see. We're telling it we have a header row 1, which we do, and the first data is in row 2. So first name, you want to click this. Oh, I didn't tell it sheet 1. There we go. Okay, it should have done it automatically. So that's why merge tab, just choose sheet 1. And then now we notice we don't have an error here anymore. So I don't have any unmapped tags. So, and I just kind of double check first name is matched to first name, last name to last name. There's really no reason why it wouldn't be that way. I have had circumstances where like I'll have it created and then, for example, the bus garage, they'll come back and say, oh, you know what, we really need to know this, can you add that to our template? And I'm like, yeah, I can. So what I do is I go in and I add it to the template, and then I have to come back in here to Autocrat and make it reattach and remap. So just kind of keep in mind that you can absolutely edit it later. You just have to make sure it comes in and makes that connection to the fields. Okay, so we're all good here. They're all mapped up, and so we're going to hit next. And then here is the file name. So this is what Autocrat's going to name the file after it matches. So what is really cool here, so tech PD cert, you can use tags in the name. So if I want this to be like a teacher's last name, so that they're all going out to, you know, Miss Griffith or Miss Hendrickson, you can set it to it. So I'm going to put a teacher name here. I'll do like last name in the tag. That way it's named specifically for that person. If I ever have to go back and look for it, I can at least narrow it down because the name is going to be in the file name. And then here is the type. So if you want it to come out as a Google slide, you can leave it there, or PDF should be the other option. It'll come out as a PDF. Like I said, normally I do PDF unless it's something like the bus garage where once it's created, they then want to edit it because they have their own thing they do with it after it leaves my hands. So that's just going to be up to you. So multiple output mode. So multiple output mode will, I always kind of get these mixed up. But multiple output mode, since I have, let's see, I have 5 rows of data. If I choose multiple output, then when I run this Autocrat, I'm going to get one document that has 5 pages in it. Okay, so multiple pages in one document. But if I choose single, it's going to give me 5 single different files. Okay, so it depends on, again, what you needed. So back to my examples on my Otis parent guides, I needed multiple output because I was just printing roster after roster after roster of, you know, kids' codes. So they were all together. But on the bus garage, I need every single trip request to be one single document. I don't want them stacked like that. So again, just depends on what you need. And since these are individual certificates, and for example, Jordan, you don't need a copy of Kelly's and vice versa, I'm just going to do single output mode. So, and you can also email to someone, which is kind of cool. So we're going to hit next. And then you can choose a destination folder. So again, I've got a bus garage folder. So for that, I chose that specific destination. And for the Otis parent guides, I have a folder for that because I'm kind of love folders. So you choose wherever. I'm just going to let it go into tech time. That's fine for now. And then choose next. I have never used option 6, so I'm just going to tell you to not use it and go to next. And then here is to set the merge condition. So you can choose like what triggers Autocrat to run. So we're going to click add a condition. And for me, I have a completed and I just have a yes or no. So you can just choose, if you notice here at the bottom, these are your options. You can enter a specific value. So if you're sending something to students who have, you know, an F in your class or something, you can set it to be a grade, or if they have an F, you could equals F. But null is empty, or not null is not empty. So that's kind of usually, you know, you can go with that. I'm putting yes in the completed column. I'm doing like either a yes or a blank. So I could either put not null or I could put yes, either one as my condition. And then I'm going to click next. And then do you want to share the doc and send the email? I'm going to choose yes. And I'm choosing share as a PDF. And then you kind of can set up your tags down here to be whatever you want. It says that tags aren't supported in single output mode. So for the Bus Garage one, Karen Newcomb, for example, is the new Bus Garage person. So for hers, I just type that in. So every time someone from the Bus Garage sends one in, it automatically goes to her. I really thought you could do a tag in here and it would send it, but I'm not sure. Maybe I've got them mixed up again. So I'm going to leave that there and then click next. And then here is where you can choose triggers. And I usually choose run on form trigger. So I'm going to choose yes here. Okay, actually this didn't even come from a form. I created this myself. So, but if it came from a form, you know, it would know that and you could just choose yes. So then anytime anybody submitted something, if you needed to go automatically, I have the bus one set up. So every time someone submits one, it automatically goes to the Bus Garage. So that's the trigger, just that the form has been submitted. You can do a time trigger, which you can choose, like you can tell here, like every hour, every 2 hours, every 24 hours. So you can kind of choose what trigger you want it to run. I'm going to choose no because I don't really want it running on a time trigger. I will tell you, if you kind of start messing with this and you set up a time trigger, I did this one time, so I'm telling you my mistakes. And then I started getting all these emails, like, because it would fail and it would fail and nothing was sent and it was just notifying me. So I had to come in and make sure to turn that off. So it's all right for sure to play around with this. Just know that even though you might leave it behind, Autocrat still tries to run and do what you tell it to. So if you set it on a time trigger, it's going to maybe let you know that it didn't send anything or it did. So just kind of be careful with that. So I'm just going to click save. And it's sending me back to the email. Okay, so Tech PD certificate. And then I'm going to save. Okay. And now here, because I don't have it in a form setting, I just typed this in myself. So I really don't have any triggers that are working. So if you don't do that, or if you just want to manually run your Autocrat, you can do that too. And here is the toolbar for that. So you can just hit run right here. So I'm going to click run and we'll see what happens. So if you all get an email right here magically, it's because this ran. So we'll see. Okay. What I saw was that it did create, all the automatic fields, but it didn't actually run. So I'm going to go back through and I'm going to edit. I think I chose the wrong one on multiple output mode and single output mode. I usually get those mixed up. So I'm going to go in here. You're still good. You don't have any errors here on mapped fields. So we're good there. I believe it was this. So I'm going to change that to multiple output mode. And I'm going to go through. I still want it, if completed is yes. I wonder, I'm going to put that, I'm going to change that to not null. Because it may be like a caps thing. And next, yes, I'm sharing it. It's a PDF. I tagged email. And I'm going to add like, this is an Autocrat practice. Your Tech PD cert might be hashed. Please disregard because this is just for play. Then I'm going to hit next and then run on. I actually don't have maybe that's what it did because I had that as the form trigger. I'm not sure. All right. And then I'm going to save. And then I'm going to run it. Let's see if this one works. Okay, here it goes. 4 rows are being merged. This is working. So you probably all are receiving an email from me right now because Autocrat's doing its thing. And you can tell behind in the background, document successfully merged and 1 of 4. So you can actually see it working. 2 of 4. 3, and then 1 more. Should be it. I think those are the only 4 I had marked as yes. All right, and there you go. That's how Autocrat works. And like I said, if you've got the triggers set up to do that automatically, you can just create it one time. I would run, a check on it and make sure that it works. If you need to check it with me, just let me know. Say, hey, I'm putting your email in here. Just let me know if it works or not. I will be happy to do that for you. So yeah, that's Autocrat. If you have any questions once you get started, let me know. But I messed up a couple of times, and you just kind of have to figure it out along the way. So don't be afraid to give it a try. Go back in, check your settings, or give me a call and I'll work through it with you. I'll be happy to. So I hope you enjoy it. Talk to you soon.